This presentation will focus on technology adoption trends and educational change within UK higher education. We'll discuss recent developments in technology-enhanced learning across the UK higher education sector, and we'll consider the extent to which flexible provision and student-centred learning are now being supported by higher education institutions through their use of learning technologies. In discussing developments, we'll refer to evidence from the UCISA Technology-Enhanced Learning Surveys, which have been running since 2001. And where appropriate, we'll also comment on European trends, drawing on survey data from the European University Association's e-learning survey. Before discussing technology-enhanced learning developments, let's quickly consider key developments across the higher education sector over the past decade. We've observed major changes which have reshaped the sector, specifically the marketisation of higher education, with the increase in national and global competition and the entry of private degree providers to the marketplace. We've also seen a demand-driven expansion of undergraduate education, but with that we've also seen annual tuition fees introduced in the English higher education sector from 2012, and that has certainly led to a change in mindset of students which are coming on campus now with a mentality more as consumers rather than learners, and with that mindset comes expectations over the quality of the educational provision that they should receive. Within that context, clearly there is potential for new digital technologies to help with the delivery of new services, and also institutions are starting to recognise the potential that new online educational environments are offering to help scale up provision and widen the range of courses that are delivered at reduced unit costs. How should higher education institutions therefore respond to this new context? Well, organisations such as the UK Higher Education Academy have argued that institutions should now support a greater range of flexible learning opportunities for students. But what do we mean by this? Flexible provision may be interpreted in a number of ways, ranging from market differentiation in terms of the range of programmes that are offered to students, and the flexibility in terms of entry points and pathways to those degree courses. Another dimension may look at the responsiveness of institutions to student expectations and needs to support their learning, and here we're referring to the quality of the student experience and the academic support that is based around that. Another element is in relation to learner flexibility, the degree to which students are supported in terms of flexible and interactive learning experiences. At the heart of all of these developments lies an opportunity for technology in supporting pedagogic change and innovation, in particularly supporting student-controlled online learning activities which engage learners and offer challenges for personal study. So what progress has been made across the sector in embedding technology-enhanced learning provision in universities in support of student learning? Well, UCISA, the Universities and Colleges Information Systems Association, has been running a survey on technology-enhanced learning since 2001. The most recent survey was completed by 110 institutional heads of e-learning and e-learning managers in February 2016, out of a targeted population of 160 higher education institutions. So that represents an overall response rate of 69% for the sector. And the respondents were asked to comment on the balance of centrally supported tools and student-owned devices that were being used in their institutions in support of online learning. Let's discuss the results and the key headline findings from this year's survey. So what impact have learning technologies had on course delivery approaches and pedagogy across the UK higher education sector? Well, the graph shows a longitudinal view of course delivery approaches from 2003 to 2014. And the classification tracks the proportion of web supplemented modules, i.e. those where technology invites optional participation by students online, as compared with web dependent modules, which require students to actively engage with an online component of a blended course, as well as another category, fully online or distance learning courses. The results show that optional student engagement has been the predominant course delivery approach where technology has been used over the past decade. Of the blended delivery modes requiring student participation for an online component, interaction with content remains the most common approach. So although slowly reducing, we might argue that transmissive teaching approaches, which are very much based on provision of content, are still the norm across the sector. When looking at the results for the 2016 UCISA survey, not much has changed, and there's still a strong focus on supplementary uses of the web to support content delivery. Indeed, blended content provision was being offered extensively across 79% of responding institutions to this year's survey, with a further 13% confirming that there was supplementary online content being offered across schools and departments within their institution. On one level, this compares favourably with a modest level of mainstreaming of blended provision, which was reported in the 2014 European University Association survey. But on another level, we could argue whether this really adds up to supporting an active learning agenda, meeting the expectations of students coming onto our campuses now. The slow pace of change in course delivery approaches prompts a discussion on how UK institutions are making use of learning technologies in support of learning and teaching activities. The table shows the investment in centrally managed e-learning tools that institutions have engaged in over the past 4 years, based on survey data from the last 3 UCISA surveys. Topping the list of central investment are VLEs, or virtual learning environments, or learning management systems, and they are now evident in almost all institutions across the UK higher education sector, and are synonymous largely with the heavy lifting of course management activities and the conventional structuring of lecture and reading materials in a shared online space, and very much support the web supplemented blended content provision mode. The data also shows the strong investments that institutions have had in e-assessment tools over the recent years, specifically for automated marking of tests and electronic submission of assignments, as well as text matching or plagiarism detection of student submissions. To a much lesser degree, institutions have invested in student-controlled tools and interactive tools, although as we can see there is some evidence here of investment in asynchronous communication and blog and document sharing activity. This table displays the most commonly deployed TEL tools by UK higher education institutions and indicates the percentage of courses in which they are deployed. The columns reflect the percentage of responding institutions to the survey using a TEL tool, based on a scale of deployment of half to just under 3/4 of all courses that they deliver on the far right-hand side, through to 100% or all of their courses in the left-hand column. Looking at the table, it comes as no surprise to see that virtual learning environments are a common feature across most courses. 42% of responding institutions use the VLE in all of the courses that they deliver. E-assessment and content management tools also feature prominently as part of institutional TEL provision to students. In contrast, student-controlled learning activity has a much lesser profile, with mobile apps and asynchronous communication tools appearing at the bottom of the table. Summing things up, the UCISA data suggests that institutional change in pedagogic practice through the use of learning technologies has not changed dramatically over the years, and that we're still seeing a strong focus on the use of technology to push out content to students and to manage key processes such as assessment, rather than to empower academics to innovate in pedagogic design and students to engage in more active online learning. We may conclude that institutional investment in technology infrastructure will not by itself bring about changes in pedagogic practice. Through our case study research with individual institutions, we've seen that there may be greater prospects for change when capacity building and investment initiatives such as the development of ubiquitous Wi-Fi infrastructure on campus are supported by facilitating institutional policies towards the use of digital tools, encouraging academics to consider new course delivery approaches involving the use of technology. For example, the University of South Wales has adopted such a twin-track strategy, upgrading its Wi-Fi access to support the use by students of their mobile devices on campus, whilst at the same time introducing a switch-on policy supporting students' use of mobile devices in classroom settings. The introduction of top-down support for TEL by senior managers and its embedding as a theme within institutional strategies for teaching learning assessment also appears to be a key factor in promoting sustainable change. The 2016 UCISA data highlights the progress that's been made in this regard, with 91% of responding institutions confirming that their teaching, learning and assessment strategy now informs the development of technology-enhanced learning. This reflects how technology has been incorporated as an enabling or component part of the institutional vision for teaching and learning, rather than as a sole focus, such as part of a capacity building initiative. Indeed, this level of institutional engagement compares favourably with how technology is being addressed on a strategic level across European institutions, if we are to judge by the findings of the European University Association survey, which reported that only 49% of responding institutions had a strategy informing e-learning development. Finally, the promotion of the digital agenda through complementary initiatives such as MOOC design and delivery may also help in showcasing innovation and the scope for different uses of technology in campus-based teaching. We should acknowledge, though, that the key component of any change agenda for the use of technology in higher education has to be support for teaching. Respondents to the 2016 UCISA survey highlighted staff development as the leading challenge to TEL adoption moving forwards over the next few years. Indeed, the National Union of Students in the UK highlighted way back in 2010 a potential new digital divide existing between the digital capabilities of students and the perceived skills of academic staff. And clearly there is a need to make staff aware of the affordances of learning technologies and provide them with the skills to use TEL tools effectively in course design to support active learning. Academic staff need the time, space and encouragement to embed technologies in course design and delivery. For instance, through use of video to support flipped designs to help provide more meaningful class engagement with students. In this respect, we may see MOOCs acting as a stimulus for staff to experiment with technologies in their teaching on campus, and inspired by the innovative practice they've seen displayed in fully online courses, transferring those strategies to campus-based classes, supporting the development in turn of new pedagogic models. Finally, the use of learning analytics and big data may also make a contribution to pedagogic innovation and change, enabling academics to track student learning, what's observable online, and respond to individual needs through more timely and targeted support. In this respect, the JISC is currently working with more than 50 higher education universities and colleges in the UK to support the development of a sector-wide learning analytics solution, with a project due to be completed by the end of July 2017. And we may anticipate further developments in analytics provision in the future as a result. That concludes the presentation. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about technology developments across the UK higher education sector, please take a look at the full report of the 2016 UCISA survey, which is available via the UCISA web link, which you see on the screen. We welcome feedback on the report, and the project team will welcome the opportunity to compare our findings with other national HE sectors. Based on the UCISA data, we've also produced short YouTube summaries of open learning and learning analytics developments across the UK higher education sector, which are available via the web links on screen, which also might be of interest to you.